You're watching Global Mirror. I'm Shreya Upadhyaya. This has been a black Monday for the entire world. Global markets have rattled due to the Trump tariff plan. We talk about this on the show tonight, and we also tell you more about what's been happening in American politics as far as this tariff plan is concerned. But before that, let's quickly take you through the top global stories. Even as the world grapples with the Black Monday in markets, in his first reaction amid the global meltdown, US President Donald Trump defends his tariffs, says there has been no inflation and that oil and interest rates remain low. China reacts to Donald Trump's tariff statement, says pressure and threats are not the way to deal with us. Also accuses the United States of engaging in unilateral actions, protectionist policies and economic intimidation through tariffs. In one of the largest coordinated demonstrations against Donald Trump and Elon Musk, thousands of Americans take to the streets across all 50 states in what they call hands-off protest, standing against the creation of DOGE, which impacts healthcare, housing and education. Saudi Arabia temporarily bans visas for 14 countries, including India, ahead of Hajj. The decision is aimed to address overcrowding and safety concerns. The ban will remain in place till mid-June. A new UN report states that Pakistan is among the 4 countries making up half of global maternal deaths. The report also estimates that 260,000 women died in 2023 as a result of complications from pregnancy or childbirth. Donald Trump has said that it's a medicine which the world has to take, and I dare say it's quite a bitter pill to swallow. World stocks plunged today as US President Donald Trump showed no signs of withdrawing from his tariff plans. In fact, he even doubled down, saying tariffs are a beautiful thing.
If you don't make your product here, then you will have to pay a tariff, a very substantial tariff, when you send your product into the United States. And by the way, you know, for years they knocked the word tariff, properly used, is a beautiful word. One of the most beautiful words I've ever heard. It's music to my ears. A lot of bad people didn't like that word, but now they're finding out I was right. And we will take in hundreds of billions of dollars into our treasury and use that money to benefit the American citizens. And it will not cause inflation, by the way.
Markets have been suffering a massive bloodbath since morning today, and it might take days to stabilize. Just to give you a recap, if you weren't able to keep up with the markets today. Well, Indian stock markets lost 20 lakh crores in just 10 seconds at the opening. Japan's Nikkei and Topix stock trading was suspended due to a circuit breaker. Singapore stock market opened 5.5% down. It suffered its worst crash in 16 years. Thailand Stock Exchange temporarily banned short selling. Malaysia was at 5.6%, Hong Kong at 13.2%, and Taiwanese Stock Exchange closed at minus 9.7%, which is the largest drop in its 58-year-old history. European shares were also down. They were down by 6%. Now, the Trump administration has been dismissing fears of inflation and recession, saying that markets will be rattled for a bit, but it is not correct to say that economies have crashed. In fact, they've been pushing the idea that this is a larger plan that Donald Trump has envisioned to make America an investment destination and pay off its debt, even if that means crashing global markets right now. The big question that is on everyone's mind is, will Trump's tariffs and protectionist policies benefit America, or will the businessman president regret making this move? Joining me on the show is Kishore Subramaniam. He's a financial expert, Vibhuti Jha, a Republican candidate, former Republican candidate from the New York Assembly, and Sara Spector, a Democrat strategist. is joining us. Good evening and namaskar to both of you. Before I get into the politics of it and discuss this with Vibhuti Jha and Sara Spector, Kishore Subramanian, this wasn't unexpected. This was expected that markets will surely be impacted with the kind of tariff plan that Donald Trump has thrown at all of us. But do you also agree with Jim Cramer when he predicts a potential 1987 kind of an impact that the markets will see now?
Good evening to my panelists. Let me first tell you that I'm not predicting even a recession for America. See, the ground reality of America is that if you look at JP Morgan, of an American recession. But if you're in America, I'm not,
right,
but I
still
still able to say
that
if you are in America, you will understand that there is a lot of spending happening. As far as the tariffs are concerned, I know that Trump has got America first policy, and that's good, like Mr. Narendra Modi has got India first policy. But understand that this is going to have inflationary pressure as far as America is concerned. And to shift manufacturing or many things that are produced in the globe by China, India, Vietnam, Cambodia, Bangladesh is not going to be an overnight job. You can impose tariffs overnight, but to shift manufacturing and the cost and efficiency is going to be rupturing the global markets. It's already started. But let me tell you from an Indian perspective, an investor or a stock market perspective, India is fairly insulated. Only 64% of our consumption is domestic and 36% is outside, and that to a part in America. I don't think so Indian markets are going to get rattled. The short term, maybe yes. In the long term, we are going to be isolated, and take my word on it. The dollar's appreciation against rupee is coming to an end, and the supremacy of America as a global giant is going to come to an end. Though, with a caveat, I will tell you that America is very resilient as an economy. It will come back. 30s depressions is not going to happen. That's my take on it.
Okay. Vibhuti Jha, you want to come in on this, what Kishore Subramanian is saying, that, it will probably take away, the global leader tag of United States of America, the supremacy that it perhaps enjoys right now, that will be taken away from this entire Trump tariff. Some are calling it tyranny as well.
Thank you very much for having me here. It is not Trump tyranny. Let's be a little bit charitable to this man. It's not a Trump tyranny. What is happening, I think I totally agree with Kishore that two things I definitely agree with him. One is that, sun always sets on any empire. It did on British Empire, it did on colonialism, it did on Japanese art of management. Probably, as I opined in a New York-based think tank, the political parties in America getting at loggerheads with each other will hurt America more than anything else around the world. Coming to that perspective, that this is not the first time market has tanked. This has been going on in history forever since bull market, bear market. If those people who are not aware, approximately $5 trillion were sitting by the sideline for a while for market correction to happen. So as I always say, every disaster is an opportunity for somebody. This is the classic market telling the investors, buy low. So if you have cash, if you have been sitting on cash, if you moved out of the market waiting for the correction, this is the time to get in. That's simple as that. So this is what is important.
Okay.
However, what is happening with Mr. Trump is a classic biblical explanation. Old order changeth, yielding place to new. The nonsense of American economy, printing notes at will, has been injurious to the health of American economy and American political system. That will come to an end. And Kishore has been assessing it correctly, that dollars might will shrink. Whether Democrats like it or Republicans like it or not doesn't matter, because technology has enabled significant alternate payment strategies for trade and other settlements.
Okay.
There is nothing one can go back to.
Yeah.
So I'm looking
Let
at
me get in
this
Sara on this, Vibhuti Jha.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry?
Okay. Sara, let's get a Democrat point of view as well. Sara, what's your take on this? You know, the entire day we've seen a complete bloodbath, not just in US and India, but across the world. Markets have crashed and crashed terribly.
Yes, and I think a lot of it is because there doesn't seem to be, like on our Sunday morning political talk shows, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of cohesion between the cabinet about whether this is a strategy or it's a long-term strategy or short-term strategy. Only Donald Trump kind of is, it knows, and so the whole world doesn't really know how long these tariffs are going to last. If they just don't know. And the problem is the cabinet doesn't seem to know either what the strategy is. And I can tell you that this isn't what I mean. While Donald Trump said he was going to impose tariffs, it is a surprise at the amount and the level that he's doing it in, and they aren't reciprocal either. That's a lie. These are not reciprocal tariffs. So what's going on, I can tell you, in Midland, Texas, which is the heart of the oil industry in America, is it has gone from boom to bust. And with the oil going down, I mean, it's not because of drill baby drill, because that's what Trump promised Texas, is that he was going to build up the oil economy, and that because of oil wells being pumped, then lower gas prices are happening. But what's happening is the prices are going lower because of forecast of a recession, and less fuel will be consumed. And so now in Texas, we are going through, I mean, it has literally in a week gone from really, really busy here to just dead. It reminds me of COVID when we had negative oil. And I can tell you, when the oil industry goes bad in America, when we go underwater, everybody else goes underwater. And this is a really scary time for America.
Okay. Let me get in Vibhuti to respond to you. Vibhuti, this is one of the arguments that has been given by several economists as well, that, inflation would rise, inflationary pressure would rise. In fact, Americans will have to shell out more for their daily expenses and daily essentials, even if, Donald Trump claims that this will be making America great again. And that is, this is one of the arguments that is being given by economists across the world. He, of course, doesn't seem to withdraw. He's in fact doubled down. He said that inflation, there is no inflation, and that oil prices and interest rates are down.
It is something very interesting. At the moment, what is happening is people are giving their assessments. The fear is the one which is gripping the market. Fear always moves the market one way or the other. The point of the matter is very important. The US economy, as I know it, as I may be an ex-Republican candidate, but I'm an international banker and a student of economics. So 87 you referred to, I was in American Express Bank office in Delhi at that time. We didn't even feel the pinch because the news traveled very late. Today we are living in a world which is driven by tectonic shift brought by technology in the way we communicate, as a result of which everything happening in one side of the world is instantly known to everybody else in the very next moment. The point of the matter is very simple. These things will happen. There is always a factor and a trigger that moves the market. The oil price going down, everything has a pro and a con. So if the oil prices go down, it will help the general consumer. A lot of prices will come down, obviously, because energy forms the basic structure of the pricing policy in America. So this is what is important for everybody to understand, that Texas doesn't make America. Everything happens as a matter of a collected future that is there. In this moment, what is happening is America is a remarkably financially obese country today. We are, because the way we just go on printing notes to meet with all and sundry kind of a pork barrel projects that we are indulging in. It is a financially obese country, and that's what is happening here. It's an extreme weight loss program. There will be many who will pay the price of it. When you indulge in a weight loss program, it shakes the world. It will, as the largest consumer nation in the world. So as I am of the opinion, this is a buying opportunity. This is the time to fix the problems as they existed. And that's what Donald Trump is trying to do. Because in my opinion, since I came to this country in 91, looks like we have never won a single war. whether war on drugs, illegal immigration, or whether it is what you call war on illegal weapons trade, we don't seem to be winning any war. War on terror
Okay.
since 9/11, none of the wars we have won. Is it because we are incompetent or we don't want to solve the war? So right now, what you're seeing in Trump is a person who knows that if the world individuals had the same debt to income ratio that America has, nobody will give us a penny. And we are surviving primarily because dollar is the supreme currency. This is what Trump wants to protect. This
Okay.
is the time,
Okay.
extraordinary measures, extraordinary times.
Okay. Kishore Subramanian, one of the theories that's also been floated around is that Trump's tariff plan has got to do a lot with the fact that US is under a $36 trillion debt. And these are some of the ways through which Donald Trump is trying to get money, whether it's tax cuts eventually, whether it is, the Dodge department that he's created to cut down the expenses on saving up the money, and through tariffs. So when money comes in, the US will be able to deal with its debt. Do you agree with this sort of theory?
Okay. So let me answer you this question in two parts. One is that we are under the fundamental assumption that the tariff trade war will not escalate. It will escalate because if you are going to impose 34% on China, it's going to retaliatory impact and it's going to reimpose.
Yeah.
So the tariff war will escalate. Point number one. Point number two, let us not assume that the income which Donald Trump is saying that billions of dollars we'll earn will work. Because if other countries are paying billions of dollars to you in tariff, remember your own countryman is going to pay up 30% more for an iPhone. So the other gentleman who was a Republican ex-candidate gave a very important point. America is financially obese, and that's absolutely a brilliant term, and I buy it. The second point, he was talking about quantitative easing. How many times has this QE been done? And this has been done for frivolous reasons, and America is a debt-laden country, financially obese, debt-laden. Every American who is born with a debt of about $5,300 on his head. QE continuously, checks and balances completely failing. Loans like ninja was given in 2007. No income, no job, no assets. People were given loans. So crisis is looming large at America. This is not a solution. In a globally intertangled and intertwined world, we need to be diplomatic with countries and speak to each other. Yes, Trump's move is going to jerk the American markets and the global markets, but I don't think so he will win the war on an economic front. Having said that, the intent might be clear, the measure is not great, posturing might be great for the voters, but you're not going to be elected back because after 4 years there is no term unless you change the Supreme Court laws. But what's important is that India will be fairly insulated, fairly isolated, end of America's supremacy tag. But I don't give way to the fact of the matter that America is extremely resilient.
Okay.
It'll bounce back with measures.
Kishore Subramanian, you make an interesting point. The fact that there is indeed a problem, but the solution is not slamming tariffs on other countries. And Sara Spector, come in on this. Wouldn't it be, a logical solution for Trump to be doing what he's doing, considering the fact that other countries have indeed been charging, some of them have been charging much higher tariffs than US does. Case in point, Europe. The US cars that enter Europe pay 10% tariff, while the European cars that enter the American market pay only 2.5%. How is that a fair trade?
Right. So there is no argument that there is a differential, an unfair differential in the trading tariffs between America and other countries. But the way that Trump has basically implemented these tariffs, according to most economists, is not efficient. And he's basically, he's, instead of doing strategic tariffs, I mean, I think in his last administration he did 1 or 2%. Where he raised tariffs. I mean, now he's basically tanking the world economy, and without any strategy, he put out some sort of, or his administration put out some sort of equation they based it on, and every economist said it doesn't make any sense. And the problem is Trump isn't saying, how long this temporary pain is going to be. Is it going to be 2 years? Is it going to be 10 years? And also, if he does want to bring trade back, or basically, if he wants to implement and bring jobs back to America and the blue collar worker back to America, it's my understanding we don't have the infrastructure to even do that now. And so I don't really think that the way he's implementing this is good for the economy. And it's not me. I mean, it's just like every economist, they all agree that this is not the way Trump is going about this is completely irresponsible and without any rhyme or reason. And his cabinet cannot even tell us really where we're going on this because I don't think they know.
Okay. Vibhuti Jha, you want to respond to what Sara is saying? I mean, yes, there are tariffs, and yes, he's been making some points, but there are several questions that Donald Trump refuses to answer when the media asks him, saying these are stupid questions. In fact, there were a lot of memes on social media that were shared as well when these tariffs were announced, because there were islands where there is no human habitation, and the penguins were slammed with tariffs. There's only penguin habitation there.
Yeah, thank you very much. We need some humor at times. So thanks to the
This is
penguins
unfortunately not humor. This is the actual plan that Donald Trump had presented. It was not presented in humor.
You're totally right. It's a classic bureaucratic snaffle. Trump did not do that. It's the bureaucracy that did it. But I want to thank Kishore for liking my term financial obesity. Likewise, I would totally disagree with Sara for saying that no rhyme or reason. There is madness in the entire thing. But as I said to you earlier on, Trump has actually introduced a word, in my opinion, as a geopolitical student, the word reciprocity. You have never heard this introduction of reciprocal arrangements in the world. But here is very interesting part. You look at Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. I did some research on that. Those videos are available on internet. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, they have all demanded in their prime time of Senate and House rulings that the United States must have reciprocal tariff with the Chinese and others particularly, because Chinese were dumping goods in America because they took advantage of WTO. They have demanded. When Trump says it, it's some kind of an evil thing. This is what is important for America to know, both Republicans and Democrats, that you cannot take the country for granted and fly country's interests before your party interests. So when Sara says that Trump doesn't know what he's doing, this is a presumptuous assessment. It's not true. He knows exactly what he's doing because I know what is going wrong with America. We cannot afford to maintain the economy the way we have been doing it. As Kishore said very correctly, America will not go through a recession because I have said this many times that compared to India, juxtaposing the two countries, America is 3 times larger than India, has 1/4 the population, and a reasonable infrastructure in place with a very strong resource base. So America has things in its favor. The question is, how does it tidy over the problems that it lands itself into? And that's what Mr. Trump is trying to fix, is a problem. The problem exists, and we need to address that. Okay. And I said to you this time that, these things, when Chinese begin to talk about intimidation and threats, look who is talking. China is telling America of intimidation and threat, the country that operates on intimidation and threats entirely. So this is what is important for us to bear in mind, that who is trying to do something about it. And this is what is important again. Products, there is a challenge here. When Mr. Trump says that manufacturing must return to America, remember one thing. In 1991, when the US got into NAFTA, they bartered away the soul of America, which lives in manufacturing. That's what they did. So as a result of which, he's trying to bring back manufacturing to America. But that's where the workers actually live, in towns like Detroit and Chicago and many others. Look at what happened to Detroit. The auto industry went down the tube because of, again, tariff. The BMW and Mercedes, Germany had only 2% tariff on those taxes. The American cars, though they are not that that same quality of BMW and Mercedes, they suffered because they were paying 10% of tariff there. So you can't buy an American car anywhere else because they are outwitted by the rates. Even here, I buy a Mercedes and a BMW because I pay much less price or a comparative price. There has to be a modicum of rationale in which things need to operate in business. And that's what Trump is trying to do. He will succeed or not, I do not know.
Okay,
Whether all the
talking
manufacturing
about
will return to
rationale.
America, I do not know. Yeah.
Okay, talking about rationale, Kishore Subramanian, there has been constant back and forth that has been going on between the US and China. Donald Trump, of course, has been lashing out at China. China has been responding. There has been a trade war earlier as well between the two countries. How do you see this now moving forward and thereby impacting countries like India?
So the China +1 policy is going to favor India. And if India is quick to capitalize on it, because India has the manpower and the labor and efficiency in terms of cost. But can we match up to
Okay, there seems to be some sort of network issue. We'll try and fix that, Kishore Subramanian, and come back to you. But Sara Spector, to you, how do you see this now? Okay, Kishore, we've got Kishore back with us. Kishore, go ahead.
Yeah. So with regards to China +1 policy, India will have a favorable position here. And let's understand that China's inventory buildup is huge. For example, if you look at China's inventory buildup in terms of residential units, they have 2 times their size of the population as inventory. So China has been doing this dumping yard stuff with all countries, and China should logically get displaced as a manufacturing giant, dumping every damn thing that they produce. So India is going to have an advantage. Will be able to match up with China's scale? No, not probably. We are at least 20, 30 years behind China. But yes, we can go on soft diplomacy, being a global leader in the South, and also with the fact of the matter that we are a consumption market, we can bargain and we can be on the negotiating table with being the largest democracy, and India can use it to its advantage. But if you allow this to slip over for textiles and other industries, the Vietnam, Cambodia, Bangladesh is going to take over. India has a great advantage to position itself well and strategically play the bargaining power, at the same time the soft power, and ensure that we get some of the manufacturing and stuff, because we have a price advantage. We can build up capacity, but these build-ups also take time. You can't do it overnight. But it's a change in order in terms of the leadership. Sure. India can become aim to become the Vishwa Guru.
Okay. Sara Spector, you want to come in on this? How do you see this moving forward? Are you willing to give that chance at least to Donald Trump? He's trying to perhaps undo the wrongs that have been done in the past.
Yeah, well, I don't know what he's trying to do. Honestly, I don't know what his motivation is at this point. But you see, the problem is that if he really had a strategy, then the cabinet should be able to articulate it, and they're not able to. And that's very, very, very troublesome, right? If cabinet members are going on Sunday morning programs and saying the exact opposite of what each other is saying and what the ultimate goal is.
But Sara, to their credit, whether it's Donald Trump, Howard Lutnick, or Scott Bessent, they all three have been talking about the short-term pains that the world will have to face, at least for now, and then go on to the long-term gains of this move.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, Sara, this is for you.
Are you talking to me? Me? Sorry.
Yes, Sara, are you able to hear me? Yes, this is for you.
Okay, so you asked me about you're asking about the questioning of the long-term games.
Yes, all I'm saying is that, you were talking about the cabinet members in the Trump administration. As far as Donald Trump, Howard Lutnick, and Scott Bessent are concerned, all three are towing the line and saying there are short-term pains that the world will have to face, but there are long-term gains in this move.
Right. Well, I don't know what those long-term gains are, and economists are saying that the long-term gains, they don't know how long they're talking about. Is it 10 years? Is it 20 years? Because America America does not know. Trump surprised the world with the severity of the tariffs that he implemented. And yes, I agree that NAFTA hurt the blue collar worker in America. And I agree that Bernie Sanders and a lot of Democrats have been talking about helping the blue collar worker and bringing manufacturing back to America. But they talk about China, right? They talk about countries like China who have such an advantage right now. They didn't talk about tanking Canada's economy, tanking Mexico's economy. They didn't talk about that. And this is not what they meant. Tanking the world economy is not something that Trump talked about. He did not say that when he campaigned. He said on day one, inflation was going to go down, that everything was going to be great. He did not campaign on a 10-year motivation, right? He didn't campaign on that. This is not what America voted for. And people are taking to the streets and people are angry. I understand that really rich people have savings and they can basically buy up, right, other stocks right now, which would basically happen in depression, where oligarchs were able to basically buy up all the stocks off of the little people. And most Americans do not have savings. They work paycheck to paycheck. And this is not funny. It's not funny. And I live in middle-class America. And I'm telling you, this is a very, very horrible thing that's happening. And if you say Texas isn't important, you better believe it. We are. We have a lot of delegates here. And if Texas flips, we can flip the House, we can flip the Senate, and Trump can be stopped in his tracks.
Sarah, I
in 2
understand
years.
where this is coming from. I also understand there are several hundreds of Americans who are upset with what Donald Trump is doing. I have paucity of time. I'll have to leave it here. Let's wait and watch whether this medicine, as Donald Trump calls it, heals America and the world, or it's going to be as useless as perhaps an antibiotic on a viral flu. Thank you very much to all of you. Kishore Subramanian, Vibhuti Jha and Sara Spector, to all three of you for joining us on Global Mirror and sharing your perspective. Thank you very much. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it's a wrap on Global Mirror. News and updates will continue on the other side. Thank you very much for joining us.